this video, we're going to talk about our top 5 law school exam tips. So our first tip is you have to figure out the format of your law school exams early. So what I mean by this is knowing whether or not you have one long essay or let's say a few shorter essays or maybe a longer essay and some short answer, or maybe even your professor sprinkles in some multiple choice questions is incredibly important to help guide you about how to study. And what I mean by that is, for instance, if you learn that you're going to be given an essay exam, maybe 2 essay exams or just one long one, the details of each and every individual case that you've been assigned to read over the course of this semester are going to become a little bit less important. However, if you find out that you're faced with some multiple choice questions on exam day, multiple choice questions lend themselves better to testing things like nuances of the law, which that's when specific case facts can become very important to helping you answer those types of questions. So therefore, how you study and how you prepare is best determined based upon the type of exam you're going to see at the end. So that's our first tip. Figure out the format of your exams early on. Be sure to ask your professors these questions if they haven't already told you in some other way. Our second tip is outline early and try to memorize the law. This is probably the biggest mistake. If not the biggest, it's one of the biggest mistake that I think most law students make. What they do is they spend so much time over the course of this semester reading cases and briefing cases that they never really get around to outlining, or if they do, it's later on in the semester. And as a result, they spend kind of their reading week or their study time towards the end of the semester putting their outlines together. And the reality is this is a rushed process, which kind of ruins the process in some respects. They might not even finish all of their outlines. But most certainly, what ends up always being the case is if they are rushed at the end, cramming to get their outlines done, they most certainly are not memorizing their outlines or the law. And the difference between people who do okay on law school exams and those who do well are the ones that have started to outline early, so therefore they're gauging their comprehension throughout the course of the semester. And that way, when their classes end, instead of cramming to get their outlines done, their outlines are complete and they can take time to memorize the law. So that's our second tip. Outline early so that you can memorize the law. Our third tip is practice. And honestly, practice, practice, practice. Taking a law school exam will be unlike any other type of exam you've experienced before. This is why practice is so important. You do not want the first time you're faced with a law school-like exam to actually be a law school exam. You want to make sure that you're carving out time in your study period. Most law schools have a time when classes end, and then there's kind of like a break, and then exams start. It's ideal that you have your outlining done once classes end or shortly thereafter so that you can have started to memorize the law and take time to practice these exams, taking the exams both timed and untimed. This is our third tip for helping you do well on your law school exams. Practice. And if you're wondering where you get these practice exams from, ask your professors. A lot of professors make this stuff available to their students. Other times, you might find these exams on reserve in the library. And you might even have to do some digging online to use a different professor's exams. It's not ideal, but honestly, at least it's practice. And that will help you no matter what. Our fourth tip to help you do better at law school exams and excel is using IRAC. So if you're not already familiar, IRAC stands for Issue, Rule, Analysis, Conclusion, Format. So not only will utilizing the IRAC format make your answer more organized, but it also serves as a nice checklist to make sure that you're covering every single thing that you are expected to cover for each issue. In other words, this is ensuring you've identified the issue, provided the rule for that issue, analyzed it, and concluded on it. It's a nice formulaic approach. And then our fifth and final tip is don't outline dump. I know this is super tempting because a lot of people want to show their professors that they really understand the law. However, we find oftentimes that when you compare exams between a student who has outline dumped and basically talked about things that were relevant and not relevant to the issues being tested, to an examinee who's strictly kind of stuck to the script, so to speak, only addressing those issues that were being tested, The student who only addressed those issues being tested will do better. This is usually more impressive to your professor, and therefore, please reserve the urge to outline dump. They're testing what they're testing on purpose, so identify those issues, provide those rules, analyze and conclude, and avoid providing any extraneous information that's not at issue. So those are our top 5 tips for law school exams, and we hope that you found them helpful.